Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. Today, we are going to take part 2 of 4 of box 1 of my collection dive, kind of continuing from yesterday. We'll do 2 in a row, and then we'll break it up, and then we'll finish up the box. But this is the first case. And this is going to be kind of referred to as my Demko section. Because as I look at these, I do have several variations of different knives. This is one of my earlier Demkos. This is an Aus 10 sheep's foot. Very, very sharp. With some, God, I forget the name of this guy who did scales. He was one of the first ones to do carbon fiber scales. He did several sets for Lefty. I got his name. He did me these fat carbon fiber scales. And this is one of my not successful, but I did mount magnets in there. I just need to redo them. There's some different magnets I need to order, and I need to put them opposing. But what it did do is it did give this knife detent. However, like I said, I can do it better because we'll see one here in a second that's got a little bit better detent because Brother Saigon Kick pointed me in the right direction, gave me a couple of tips. But that is in box 1, video 2, the first knife, the Shark's Foot Aus 10 Demko AD 20.5. So moving on, we come to another Demko 20.5, and this is a clip point, and this one is in D2. This one has the original GOAT titanium scales. It also has the magnet mod, but it has the weak magnet mod because I've got my magnets not opposing each other, which actually makes the grip better. But these knives, as you can tell, since I've got several of them, have always been a favorite to me. The 80-20 was always a little big. I do anticipate getting one of those eventually, but this little knife is just such a great EDC size. I love the shark lock. I love the way that it deploys. Just a great knife. Good medium-sized knife. I did add some deep carry clips to it. I believe these are Lynch, possibly Pops. I think they're Lynches. But this is my second 80-20.5 in D2. And this brings us to my third 80-20.5. Now this one's a little different in that it's got even stronger detent. This has got a little different magnet, this Saigon Kick, countersunk in these scales behind the liners, and he's got some little cabinet bumpers in there to keep the blade from hitting it. But it's using the same sharp dress scales that I had, that I switched off with it. This particular one is also an Aus 10A, but if you watch it close up, it's got a very snappy detent. You got to really break it apart to get it away from that magnet, which means when you go to snap it, it's really got some snap. See, it almost popped back on me. So anyway, 80-20.5, Aus 10, very sharp. I've sharpened all these. And this beast has the correct magnet size and the correct polarization. And it also has a deep carry clip. I think that's either Lynch or Pops. I can't remember which. Which brings us to the final. And this is also a Saigon Kick scales. We swapped out some scales. He has this one set up with the correct magnets and the bumpers. So it's fully magnetized. This is a blade I picked up from Brother Brian. This is actually a 3V Shark's Foot blade. But again, this is one that's got serious detent. All over the board. The 3V is very sharp. It could probably go on the sharpener again. But yeah, the AD 20.5, guys, that's the final one. I've got 2 drop points and 2 shark foots, all in different blade steels. Really love this knife. Never really got tired of it. A lot of people love it or hate it. I'm one that kind of falls on the love it side. As we go a little further, you'll see, uh-oh. Hey, Tip. We're in the middle of a talk here. Good girl. So then, fast forward to this year in Nashville, and the first table I went to was John Demko's. That was right after the Shark Cub came out. And they had some special Nashville editions of the Shark Cub there, which had this kind of lasered on aluminum, I guess you'd call it a pattern. But the Shark Cub is thinner considerably than the 20.5. It is also shorter. So it's kind of like a 20.5 mini, but it's got upgraded materials. Instead of coming with Grivery or G10, it comes with aluminum handles. It comes with a shorter blade, and this one's available in 3 blade styles. This blade style, a shark's foot, and a drop point with thumb studs. This blade has not been offered before on the 20.5s. This is the slicer. So it has actually got a thinner grind. It's 20 CV, so it's the best blade steel. Cold steel is used. Utilizes the same shark lock. Great forward finger choil. Great thumb jimping. Beautiful knife. Fantastic action. And again, you can flick it out if you want to. But that is the Shark Cub. I don't know what they call this. What, 80 what? But we're just going to call it the Demko Shark Cub. Moving on, we come to what I call the Demko AD 20.6. But this is actually the Flytinium Arcade. This is a really special knife, guys. Flytinium, as you know, makes a lot of different parts, so they make a lot of things upgradable. So when I got this knife, it came with 2 G10 inserts. The ones it came with was yellow, kind of had a John Deere look. They were out of the black. The black came with Ultim and something else. But then they sell extra kits. They're supposed to be selling thumb studs. I've not seen them yet. But I bought these black titanium inserts along with this black backspacer. I talked to John Demko over in Nashville at the Nashville Knife Show this past year just to ask him, to tell him what a great collaboration I thought this was, because this upgrades to 20 CV, or excuse me, S35VN, and that's compared to our drop point. And if you look at these 2 knives, they're more similar than they are different. You've got a thumb stud here instead of a blade hole, but the blades are very similar. The bodies are very similar. And what I noticed looking at them is the mechanisms on the shark locks are identical. Thumb stud's a little smaller. So anyway, I talked to John, and John said, oh yeah, since this was our first collaboration, and we've got a great relationship with Flytinium, one of the conditions of them being the first to manufacture our shark lock was to have it manufactured in the same facility, which gives me a warm and fuzzy, because my understanding is, from my experience, the Taiwan facility does a great job for Demko, and if they're overseeing the implication or the implementation of this shark lock on this wonderful knife, I have no problem with that. I love the thumb studs. I didn't think I would. They're great for thumb flicking. They're great for middle finger flicking, reverse flicking. And it's got the same size as the 20.5. I think it has a little better ergos. And it's just a great, great knife. So these guys are just about identical. Maybe a little thinner blade stock. but very similar. The Flytinium Arcade and the Demko 20.5. But moving on, that takes us out of Demko Corner, and we get into a little bit of randomness. And we come to this, as Lefty used to so affectionately call it, the fish stick. And this is a Miguron Knives, AM8, which is a subsidiary of Miguron Knives. And this is called the Flix. The Flix is a really cool knife. It's got a finger choil on one side if you want to do the reverse finger flick, kind of like the Veros are set up. It is in M390. It's got this nice, very open access to a lock bar, and I guess you'd call that a concealed frame lock or a bolster lock. It also has a front flipper, so you can front flip this knife. Whoops. Middle finger flip the knife. You've got titanium, a little bit of blue accent, titanium clip, nice shred carbon fiber, a very neutral feeling knife in the hand. I love this knife. I've got two AM, well, I've got one AM8. I traded one of them, a Gladiator. But this is a good medium sized, a little bit smaller than the PM2, going to be bigger than the Bug Out. Great knife, fantastic drop shut action. You know, I hate front flippers. I love the reverse flick. It thunders open. Beautiful satin blade. M390, titanium, carbon fiber. And rounding the corner of box number 1 is the AM8 Flix. Which brings us to, and I'll try to have this right in the description, this is one of the few TwoSuns that I've hung on to. And this is either the TwoSun 318 or 319. And it is the 319. It is a CM Designs, my brother, your brother, Devo Knives, 50% of Colin Mason Pierre. Guys, this little knife is chunky. It's a handful, but it's short. It's got a wonderful finger choil. It has got a 14C 28N blade. Dynamite action with a liner lock. And an absolute therapeutic sheep's foot slicer. That I can just go on and on about. Great access to that liner lock. And you've got that full liner lock. Give you about 35% lockup. Dead nut centered. It is a finger flick or a thumb flick deployment knife. I can either thumb flick it or, as I prefer to, reverse finger flick it. But it is in titanium. It is in shred carbon fiber and 14C. And I want to say this knife at White Mountain Knives is about $89 list. You can use Javon 10 or another one of your creator codes, and you can save a good, what would we talk about, another 10%, so take you another $8.90 off. So, great knife. One, probably the only TwoSun, no, I've got one more TwoSun that stayed in my collection, and that's one that Satu Dave worked on. But this one, because I'm a big Devo Knives Colin Mason Pierre fan, I've got a couple of his knives in the collection, and this is probably my favorite non-Devo knife. And I had this long before I ever knew who Colin was. I saw this knife being reviewed on Jared's channel, knew I loved it. He really talked it up very objectively, and it fit my need perfectly because it's a little bit thicker, feels good in the hand, no hot spots, got a choil, and got a really short but sharp flat ground blade, almost like an f5.5 mini. Moving on, we come to a full-size knife. Somehow my giant mouse got a little bit mixed up in the moving the knives around, But this is the knife, St. Nick's Knife Works, Ace Grand. They're exclusive. I've had several Ace Grands. I had L-Max with micarta that I traded with Brother Dark Gravity for one of his concept bulldozers, because I also had this Ace Grand and I didn't need two because I've got all my other aces. And this one I kind of wanted because it was in St. Nick's exclusive, but it's in the Vanda steel. I've never had any Vanda steel. It's a tool steel that's treated, and it's very, very, very slicey. The Grand or the Atelier are probably the thickest giant mouses I have behind the edge, but they're both still very, very slicey. This knife, the only downside, if there is any to this knife, is it could use a little bit better access to the lock bar. You've got some great jimping on that lock bar so it catches your finger, but if you're not careful, it can make it a little sore. You've got a fantastic harpoon and jimping on this blade, fantastic sharpening choil. Again, lock bar access could be a little better. I love the wire clip. You could switch this out with a Spyderco wire clip replacement. I wouldn't go to the trouble because this goes in and out of pocket so well. But in box number 1, video number 4, or excuse me, video number 2, we've got our Ace Grand. And that brings us to the final two. We've got the White Mountain Exclusives Mini Arion, and we've got the OG full-size Arion, which is my favorite. So the Mini Arion that was a White Mountain Knives exclusive is, I don't know if you can see, it's got this light milling pattern. It's a Servius design knife in conjunction with Arion. This one's in S35 VN with a stone wash finish, liner lock, or excuse me, frame lock, flipper deployment. This knife is small, has a small titanium clip that works very well, goes in and out of pocket like a champ, super slicey, super pokey, super much a splinter digger, and heaven forbid, a Slurpee saver should you need it to be. And then if you're not looking at carrying a smaller knife, a little 3-inch knife like the Mini Arion, you've got the full-size Arion. This one has a satin blade, S35 VN, Servius Knives partnership. You have the same milling on the lock side here, and you've got micarta on the show side, Artisan Cutlery backspacer, like you've got here. They both have a lanyard hole and a backspacer. The only difference is the show side here is not full titanium. It's got some micarta, but the advantage here is the grip is so freaking good. The blade is so long. It is such a piercer. I mean, 3.5 inches of blade. It's thin on ball bearings, flipper only, but has some of the best action, and I won't be able to thumb flick it because it's frame lock. But I can middle finger flick it all day long. So guys, that is 1/2 of the way, i.e. video number 2 out of 4, through box number 1. I think there are 46 knives in each box. And they vary, guys, because like I said, this used to be the Wii knife box. I kept all my Wiis in it. I've got an orange box we'll look at a little bit later. It'll probably be the third one we go through because it's just got a lot of miscellaneous knives now. But it used to be the Kaiser box. I think I have 1 or 2, maybe 3 Kaisers in there. But yeah, guys, my collection as it stands in May of 2024. This could get a little redundant, so I might just put out A couple of 80 20.5s. We got a couple of more. They've all got magnet mods. Great knives. I'm a big fan. But guys, thank you for watching my collection dive video. Keep in mind this is the second of 2 covering case 1. All of these will be put in their own playlist, so if they get spread out, because I don't want to just do collection dump, collection dump, collection dump, collection dump, because y'all will quit watching. So I'll do one more tomorrow, and then I'll break it up with an individual video of a knife I wanted to review, and then I'll get back into it and kind of mix it up. And y'all comment either in the comment section or on the videos what frequency you'd like. Would you like me just to blow through them? I want y'all to like them. I want it to be something that y'all find interesting. Would you like them once a week, once a month? Y'all tell me. We'll work through this box number 1, and we'll get a plan for box number 2, box number 3, box number 4, and then we've got to jump into slip joint alley, and then we get into the big heavy lifting. Big heavy lifting is going to be when I bring my 128 slot Blade HQ tool roll that's full of fixed blades, EDC fixed blades, and I unlock that cabinet behind my computer and pull out all the small EDC fixed blades there, and we start looking at those guys. So by the time this is finished, I'm thinking we're going to have probably close to 20 videos that'll be in a playlist where you guys can see how crazy Javon is and what all crazy shit he's got in his collection. Why? Because hopefully I'll be able to give you a little bit of insight into what drove me to these knives, like the 80 20.5s as we go through it. But thank you so much for watching. If you guys are still here, thank you again. If you're so inclined, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. Notifies you when I release content and really helps me out. But most importantly, please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart. Choose debate, not hate. Be up. I love you all. Thanks, Joe Isabella. Peace.